Welcome back to our channel. Once again, this is Teacher Aubrey, your English teacher. I'm going to begin our lesson with this quotation from Rob Brown way back 2013. Sabi niya, if you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. Ulitin ko ha. If you can speak, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can change lives. That was according to Rob Brown way back 2013. Diba? How beautiful is that thing that we can change others' lives, others' minds, and others' perspectives through just speaking. We can inspire people through speaking. Napakaganda nga power niyan, hindi ba? Sabi nga, kung hindi mo kayang maging mahusay na tagapagsalita, kahit maging mahusay kang tagapakinig. Pero sa lesson natin tonight, sinasabi ko sa inyo na hindi imposibleng maging mahusay kayo sa pagsasalita. It just takes time. At may mga kailangan kayong gawin para magawa ito matagumpay. Our topic for tonight is this. I hope you can see this clearly. How to speak in public, or the tips on how you can become a better and confident public speaker. How to speak in public. How to speak in public. So that's it. By the way, what do we mean by public speaking? Ano nga po ba ang public speaking? Public speaking, my dear learners, is a process of speaking to a group of people. It may be structured or impromptu, pwede rin namang hindi handa, pwedeng pinaghandaan din. Deliberate manner intended to inform, pwedeng kapag magsasalita ka in front of the public, pwedeng dahil gusto mong may ibahaging impormasyon, to inform, to influence, gusto mong baguhin yung kanilang mindset, okay, to influence, or to entertain the listeners, or pwedeng para sila ay aliwin, okay, para sila ay aliwin. Public speaking is commonly understood as a kind of face-to-face speaking. Kapag sinabi nating public speaking, ito po ay live na nangyayari na kaharap mo yung maraming tao na magiging tagapakinig mo. Alright? Face-to-face speaking between individuals and audience for the purpose of communication. So when we say communication, my dear learners, it came from the Latin word communicare, na ang ibig sabihin ay to share, okay? To share or magbahagi ng kaalaman, okay? And the main reason why we are communicating is to share a particular thing to other people. And kaya tayo nag-share, gusto nating maiparating yung ating nararamdaman. Hindi ba? Dahil imagine na lang natin ang mundo kung tayo ay hindi makapagsasalita, naku po, ang hirap magkaunawaan. So thank you for the blessing of language and communication. Kaya naman sa ating may mga kakayahang makapagsalita in front of many people, gamitin natin yon in a good way. So now, here we have the 10 tips for effective public speaking. Just thinking about public speaking, my dear learners, routinely it is described as one of the greatest and most common fears. Yes, eto talaga ang sinasabi nilang karaniwang kinatatakutan ng marami, ang humarap at magsalita sa harap din ng maraming tao, hindi ba? Because it can make your palms sweat. Talagang kapag haharap kayo sa maraming tao at magsasalita, pwedeng nanginginig ang inyong mga kamay at pinagpapawisan kayo, tumutulo pa ang mga butil-butil ninyong mga pawis. Yun yung karaniwan dahil talagang hindi naman lahat ay pinagkalooban ng husay sa pagsasalita sa harap ng maraming tao. So, ano nga ba ang kailangang tandaan at gawin para ma-overcome ninyo ang takot sa pagsasalita sa harap ng maraming tao? So, here are 10 tips that we are going to discuss on how you can lessen the anxiety and learn to deliver a memorable speech in front of the public. So, let's begin. Number 1 is this. Nervousness is normal. Practice and prepare. Again, our number 1 is practice and prepare. Ayan. Normal lang po na tayo ay kabahan. Normal yan dahil tayo ay mga tao. We are individuals. Sabi nga, kabahan ka kung hindi ka na kinakabahan. Kasi hindi normal na hindi ka kinakabahan. Okay? Dahil kapag hindi ka na kinakabahan, baka napasobra na yung tiwala mo sa sarili mo. That's being conceited. Kapag hindi ka na kinakabahan, kahit ang pinakamahuhusay na mga tagapagsalita, my dear learners, kahit ang mga politiko, kahit ang mga news anchor, kahit ang mga orators, the moment they speak or the moment they hold the microphone and face the public, I assure you, based on many studies, lahat po sila ay kinakabahan. Pero the moment na lumipas ang 1 hanggang 2 minuto na sila ay nagsasalita in front of the public, napapawi po yung kaba. And in our tip number 1, practice and prepare. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, normal ang kabahan. Nervousness is normal. So what do you have to do is to practice and prepare. My dear learners, kaya tayo kinakabahan ay dahil hindi tayo handa. Hindi ba? Kahit sa anong aspeto, kapag ikaw ay hindi handa, talagang kakabahan ka. Pero kapag handa ka, anong mangyayari? Siyempre, confident enough ka na harapin sila dahil wala kang kakatakutan, dahil alam mo sa sarili mong pinag-aralan mo yung sasabihin mo. Alright? Ano pa po? All people feel some physiological reactions like pounding hearts and trembling hands. Talagang yung iba talagang dinadaga pa, yun ang tawag nila. O kaya naman nanginginig-nginig pa ang kanilang mga kamay. And do not associate these feelings with the sense that you will perform poorly or make a fool of yourself. Huwag mong isipin na kesyo pinagpapawisan ng kamay mo, dinadaga ang iyong dibdib kapag ikaw ay magsasalita in front of the public, ay sasabihin mo, nako, baka pagtawanan na nila ako. Don't feed your mind with such thoughts that will lessen your confidence. Sa halip, keep motivating your mind na kaya ko to, pinaghandaan ko to, I know this public speaking chance given to me will be successful. That's it. Okay? Some nerves are good. Yung ibang kaba, okay lang yan. Kasi lalabas dyan yung adrenaline mo para mas paghusayan pa. The adrenaline rush that makes you sweat also makes you more alert and ready to give you best performance. The best way to overcome anxiety is to prepare some more. Take the time to go over your notes several times. So once you have become comfortable with material, my dear learners, what you have to do is to practice. Practice a lot. Videotape yourself or get a friend to critic your performance. So pwede kayong gumawa ng bulleted outline. At pwede kayong tingin lang doon, pero huwag niyong babasahin. Ang mahalaga, alam niyo yung flow ng sasabihin niyo, alam niyo yung flow ng important details na kailangang maihatid niyo sa public. Again, our tip number 1 is to practice and prepare. In everything we do, my dear learners, always remember that it is important to know your audience. Mahalaga na kilala mo kung sino ang kakausapin mo. Kahit naman sa anong pagkakataon, di ba? Mahalaga na ahead of time, kilala mo yung haharapin mo. So our tip number 2 is to know your audience. Yes, know your audience. Sana malinaw yan sa lahat ha. Bakit po kailangang mahalagang kilalanin mo kung sino yung makikinig sa'yo? Because your speech is about them. Ulitin ko ha, mahalaga na kilalanin mo yung tagapakinig mo dahil ang speech mo ay hindi tungkol sa sarili mo. Your speech is about them. Kapag tayo po ay naatasan bilang maging isang public speaker, hindi tayo nagiging public speaker para isipin natin papalakpakan ka ng marami para hahangaan ka. Bonus na lang yon. Kaya ka public speaker kasi gusto mong maka-influence sa mga tagapakinig mo. Gusto mong sila yung maging bida dahil sila yung dapat na mabago ang mindset. Before you begin to craft your message, consider who the message is intended for. Bago ka gumawa ng speech, sabihin natin prepared speech, kilalanin mo, ang audience ko ay kapwa ko mga mag-aaral. Ang audience ko ay mga katrabaho ko. O kung ako ay guro, ang audience ko ay ang mga mag-aaral ko. O kung ikaw ay isang estudyante at makikinig sa'yo ang mga guro mo, ang audience ko ay ang mga teacher ko. So, ahead of time, kilalanin mo sino ang magiging audience mo. Learn as much about your listeners as you can. Alamin mo anong hilig nila. Ito ang hilig ng mga mag-aaral ko. Kailangan yung mga sasabihin ko sa aking speech ay yung mga bagay na makaka-relate sila. This will help you determine your choice of words. At kapag kilala mo ang audience mo, ako bilang teacher, syempre advance yung level ko sa mga mag-aaral. Pero dahil ang mga listeners ko ay mga mag-aaral, ili-level ko sa level ng language nila yung mga salitang babanggitin ko. As a teacher or as a public speaker, kailangan yung language ay yung mauunawaan nila. Because that is the main reason why we are speaking or why we are communicating, para maunawaan. Okay? And what else? This will help you determine your choice of words, level of information, organization pattern, and motivational statement. So yun yung dahilan kung bakit kailangan ay kilalanin mo kung sino ang magiging tagapakinig mo. Again, our tip number 2, know your audience. Now let's proceed to our tip number 3. You have to organize. Yes, organize your material. Yeah, take note of that. You have to organize your material in the most effective manner to attain your purpose. Dito papasok yung tinatawag nating ABCs of writing. What do we mean by ABC of writing? A stands for accuracy, B stands for brief, o yung hindi sobrang haba, brief lang, concise. And letter C is coherence. Kailangan hindi paligoy-ligoy yung sinasabi mo. If you have just one topic, then just focus on that para hindi naman ma-stress yung mga audience mo or yung mga tagapakinig mo. Ano ba yung sinasabi nung nagsasalita? Kanina sabi niya eto, ngayon eto naman. Parang naguguluhan ako. Mai-stress sa'yo yung tagapakinig mo at hindi ka napakikinggan. So, to keep their attention listening on you, what you have to do is to make the material that you are going to deliver in an organized manner and in the most effective manner para ma-attain mo yung purpose mo. So kung ang purpose mo ay para i-inform sila, make sure that you are equipped enough with the information or with the new knowledge and learnings na kailangang malaman nila. Kung ang purpose mo naman ay para ma-influence sila, maaari kang mag-share ng mga testimonials na kapag ginawa nila yung mga sinasabi mo, ito yung mga bagay na maaaring mangyari sa buhay o sa pamumuhay nila. And that way, masasabi natin, ginagawa mo yung role mo as a public speaker na ino-organize mo yung material para ma-maintain mo yung kanilang attention and para ma-achieve mo yung purpose mo. Create the framework for your speech. Gumawa ka ng framework. Write down the topic, general purpose, up to the specific purpose, up to the central idea, and the main points. Make sure to grab the audience attention in the first 30 seconds. Alam niyo po ba na ang pinakaumpisa ng kahit anong speech ang masasabi nating crucial? Bakit? Kasi dito magde-decide ang listeners mo kung makikinig pa ba sila o hindi na. Tandaan nyo, the first 30 seconds of any speech is the most crucial part. Tandaan nyo ha, yung first 30 seconds na nakikinig sila sa inyo, nako, magde-decide na yan kung itutuloy pa ba ang pakikinig o hindi na. So anong pwede nyong gawin para umpisa pa lang ay makinig na sila sa inyo at hindi kayo iwanan dahil alam nilang magiging kapaki-pakinabang ang ituturo ninyo. Prepare an attention grabber. Ano yung attention grabber sa speech? Yun yung pwede kang magtanong sa umpisa pa lang para mapaisip sila ng higher order thinking skills na uri ng tanong or HOTS. O kaya pwede kang mag-crack ng joke o pwede kang mag-share ng isang sikat na quotation na sinabi ng isang sikat na tao na naging matagumpay na. So yun yung mga uri ng attention grabber na pwede mong i-prepare. So we're done with our 3 tips. Dagdagan pa natin. Let's proceed to our tip number 4. My dear learners, watch for feedback and adapt to it. Adapt to it. Once you're done with your rehearsals, pwede niyong i-video, di ba, yung sarili ninyo? Pwede kayong tumawag ng mahusay na nagsasalita in front of the public at magpa-criticize kayo. Yes, magpa-criticize kayo. Hingan niyo sila ng feedback. Okay ba yung boses ko? Is the information I'm delivering on my speech is enough para matuto at ma-influence ko yung aking tagapakinig? And then, from the feedback na makukuha at maririnig mo sa kinuha mong critic, syempre, tanggapin mo yun ng maluwag sa loob. Sabi nga, the biggest room in this world is the room for improvement. Yan daw ang isa sa pinakamalaking kwarto sa buong mundo. Ang kwarto o ang silid para ikaw ay mag-improve or the room for improvement. At mag-i-improve ka lang kung marunong kang makinig at yung napakinggan mo ay i-apply mo or i-adapt mo. Alright, so in our tip number 4, you have to keep focus on the audience. Gauge their reactions. Tingnan mo yung reaction nila. Kung nakikita mo yung reaction nila, kumukunot na yung noon nila, baka hindi na sila interesado sa speech mo. Adjust your message. And stay flexible. Being a public speaker, we have to be flexible. Yes, kailangan po tayo ay flexible. O yung tipong, ngayon seryoso ka, pero pag tiningnan mo yung mukha ng audience mo, aba parang inaantok na ata. Crack a little joke. Bring out your sense of humor para ma-maintain mo yung attention nila. Delivering a canned speech will guarantee that you lose the attention of or confuse even the most devoted listeners. So, kapag ang speech mo ay naramdaman nila na parang masyado namang kinabisado, parang word per word kinabisado, at mararamdaman ng audience mo kung sincere ka bilang speaker, well, kapag ganun, kahit yung pinaka-dedicated listener, baka iwan ka sa ere. So anong kailangan? Be a flexible speaker, watch for their feedback, look at their facial expressions, and adapt to it. That's our tip number 4. So now let's proceed to our tip number 5. Let your personality come through. Last time, from our last live lesson, sabi ko sa inyo, di ba? We don't need to compare ourselves. And the moment we stop comparing ourselves is the moment that our real personality come through. O lumalabas ang tunay na tayo kapag hinayaan nating maging unique tayo at itigil natin yung pagkukumpara ng sarili natin sa iba. Maia-apply din yan natin sa public speaking. Pinakamasarap pakinggan ay ang mga speakers na hindi na nila kailangang magkunwari, na hindi nila kailangang baguhin ang buong sarili nila to impress people. Most of the time and in real life, people will appreciate us if we are true to ourselves. And that is applicable also in public speaking. In our tip number 5, it means that you just have to be yourself. Maging ikaw ka, maging totoo ka. Don't become a talking head. In any type of communication, you will establish better credibility if your personality shines through. Kung ikaw ay malakas talaga ang sense of humor mo, then let it be. Let it be that way. And your audience will trust what you have to say if they can see you as a real person. Kapag nakita ng audience mo na very genuine ka, kung ano ka talaga pinapakita mo while speaking in front of the audience or in front of your audience, then they will appreciate you much for being such genuine person or for being such real public speaker. So again, our tip number 5 is let your personality come through. That's our tip number 5. Tip number 6 tayo. Kung kayo ay may natural ng ganitong talento, magandang bagay ito para kayo ay maging effective and confident public speaker. So our tip number 6, my dear learners, is this. Tingnan po natin, basahin natin. Use humor. Yan, magpatawa kayo. Use humor. Ano pa po? Tell stories and use effective language. What do these tips mean? Ayan, tatlo kasi yan eh. Use humor, tell stories, and use effective language. Ano nga ba ang kahulugan nito? Siyempre, kahit naman sinong tagapakinig, ayaw nating makinig kapag ang nagsasalita ay boring. Boring, no? Pero, sabi ng prof ko nung ako'y college, one of my most favorite professors, Dr. Ariston Corpus, kapag tayo nagsasalita o nagtuturo, huwag naman puro rin patawa. Dahil baka pag natapos ang inyong lesson, baka ang natandaan na lang ng mga mag-aaral at tagapakinig mo ay puro jokes. Huwag naman ganon. So yun yung natandaan ko, sinabi niya, huwag daw puro jokes dahil baka puro jokes na lang yung maalala. Malimutan na yung learners. Tama naman. Pero, humanap ka ng mga tamang pagkakataon ka ng humor or joke. Okay? At ano pa, pwede kang magkwento batay sa sarili mong karanasan. Diyan na papasok yung tip number 5. Makikita ng audience mo, ng tagapakinig mo, kung sino ka talaga, kung ano yung personality mo. And of course, use effective language. So if your audience ay mga formal, sa palagay mo, sila ay highly educated, mga kapwa mo professionals, of course, gumamit ka ng formal language. Kung ang mga tagapakinig mo ay mga mag-aaral pa lamang, still use a formal language pero i-level mo sa level ng kanilang pagkaunawa. Huwag masyadong malalalim na mga salita, hindi kailangan yan. Karaniwan, akala natin kapag malalalim yung English natin, kung English yung gagamitin nating lengguwahe, akala natin kapag sobrang lalim ng sinusulat natin or dinedeliver natin, mai-impress sila. Pero wag ka. Yung iba, actually, hindi na-i-impress. Na-i-stress lang. Huwag tayong maging cause ng stress ng tagapakinig natin. Okay? So, use effective language. And also in this tip number 6, ayun nga po, inject a funny anecdote in your presentation and you will certainly grab your audience's attention. Audiences generally like a personal touch in a speech, so tell stories, and a story can provide that. So, pwede kang magkwento, tell a story, use humor, and use effective language. Again, that is our tip number 6. Our tip number 7 is this. Aha. Sabi po, don't read unless you have to. Huwag kang magbabasa ng script mo in front of the public. Maliban na lang kung kailangan mong mag-glance sa iyong idiot board. Ano yung idiot board? Or kahit small paper lang or index paper na kung saan nandun lang yung mga points to remember. Pero wag mong babasahin. Bakit? Kasi kapag nagbasa ka ng ganyan, imagine niyo, now that I am teaching you, I'm looking at this board and I'm just simply reading everything that I'm delivering. Anong mangyayari? Diba? Since there is no eye contact, walang connection. Yun ang wag niyong gagawin. Eye contact is very important in public speaking because eye contact creates the connection that there should be between you and your audience. Kaya, wag po kayong magbabasa maliban na lang kung kailangan mong sumilip sa iyong guide. Okay? So, on our tip number 7, don't read unless you have to. Work from an outline. Kailangan lang may outline ka. Okay, sa unang part sa intro ko, about this. Sa second part, sa body, about this. Keywords lang. Okay? Yung tipong yung keyword na yun, pag nakita mo, sinilip mo, dun sa hawak mo na nakalagay sa rostrum, eto na. Dito na ako sa part na to. Keywords lang po. Reading from a script or slide fractures the interpersonal connection. By maintaining eye contact with the audience, you keep the focus on yourself and your message. A brief outline can serve to jog your memory and keep you on task. Ayan nga po, mawawala ang eye contact kung ikaw ay nagbabasa. Ganun kasimple. Tandaan ninyo, kailangan kapag tayo ay nagsasalita in front of the public, we have to keep or to maintain the connection with our audience at isa sa mga paraan ay ang ating constant eye contact. Again, that is our tip. Number 7, don't read unless you have to. So what you have to do is to work from an outline. Our tip number 8 is use your voice. Yes, use your voice and hands effectively. And omit nervous gestures. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Gumamit tayo ng gestures. Hand gestures will do, but don't overuse your hand gestures. Huwag yung tipong lahat ng sinabi mo ay nagganong ka na ng nagganon. Sa halip na ma-focus ang learners or ang audience mo sa mensaheng gusto mong iparating, baka na-focus na lang sila sa kilos ng kamay mo. And also, may mga tinatawag tayo na mannerisms. Minsan, di ba may mga mannerisms? Yung mga mannerisms ng mga nagsasalita, yun yung karaniwang nakakaagaw ng atensyon, nakaka-distract sa ating mga audience. So, refrain natin, bawasan natin yung mga hand gestures na sobra, pero makakatulong yun. Okay? Listen carefully to our tip number 8. Use your voice and hands effectively. Omit nervous gestures. Non-verbal communication carries most of the message. Totoo po yan. Yung tipong, di ba, kapag may kakilala tayo, minsan kahit hindi pa lang magsalita, tingnan mo pa lang sa mata. Tingnan mo pa lang sa mata, tila alam mo na yung gusto niyang sabihin. Yung tipong, lalo sa mga magulang, kapag hindi pa nagsasalita yung anak, pero nakita niya na nanginginig na yung kamay, may ginawa tong mali. Ganun din naman kapag tayo ay nagsasalita. Malaki ang naitutulong ng ating tinatawag na non-verbal communication. Yun nga po yung gestures, eye contact, proper posture. Malaki natutulong yan para magbigay ng mensahe sa ating tagapakinig. Good delivery does not call attention to itself, but instead conveys the speaker's ideas clearly and without distraction. That's it. At syempre nga, maganda rin is yung i-modulate natin yung boses natin. Hindi kailangan sumisigaw kapag ikaw ay nagsasalita. Sabi nga ng professor ko sa masteral, Dr. Quijano, sabi niya, when I was reporting, naalala ko lang, that was 2 years ago, kapag ikaw ay nagsasalita in front of your audience, hindi mo kailangan kapag nasa loob kayo ng isang kwarto, hindi kailangan pasigaw. Kailangan ay sapat lang na naririnig ng mga tao na nasa loob po nung kwarto na audience mo. Okay? At i-practice natin na i-practice para mas ma-modulate natin ang boses natin. And again, that's our tip number 8. Use your voice and hands effectively and omit nervous gestures. For our tip number 9, dear learners, nakikita bang malinaw? Our tip number 9 is grab attention at the beginning and close with a dynamic ending. Sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, the first 30 seconds of your speech will be the crucial part for your audience, for them to decide whether they will keep on listening on you or they will stop listening because you fail to grab their attention at the beginning. So anong kailangan? Gumawa ka ng attention grabber. You may strike a question, not just a simple question, but a question that will stimulate their minds to think, oo nga, no, ano nga ba ibig sabihin nun, ganon. Pwede kayo magbigay ng humor, magpatawa sa umpisa ng konting-konti light. O kaya naman ay magbigay ng quotation ng isang successful na tao. So in our tip number 9, grab attention at the beginning. Umpisa pa lang kailangan, ma-make sure mo na nag-grab mo yung attention nila at kailangan din, kung napanatili mo yung attention nila the entire time of your speech, what you have to do is to close that with a dynamic ending. What does that mean? Listen carefully. Do you enjoy hearing a speech with this? Ito yung sabi. Today, I'm going to talk to you about X or about a particular topic. Siyempre, karamihan sa mga tao, ayaw ng ganun. Kapag sinabi niya directly, ang pag-uusapan natin sa araw na ito ay ito. Let's try to become more artistic. Let's try to become more creative. Okay? Instead, use a startling and interesting anecdote or concise quotation. Conclude your speech with a summary and a strong statement that your audience is sure to remember. Magbigay ka ng isang linya na sa palagay mo, eto, pag binitawan mo tong linya na to, hindi malilimutan ng tagapakinig mo ang iyong sinasabi. Our tip number 10 is this. Listen carefully. Use audio-visual aids wisely. Kapag tayo po ay magsasalita, kapag sa mga seminar, pwede kayong gumamit ng video, merong pictures, ang gagamitin ninyo ay yung talaga namang pinag-isipan, wisely, pinag-isipan, pinaghandaan. Listen carefully to this tip. In tip number 10, my dear learners, too many can break the direct connection to the audience. Ito na nga yung sinasabi ko, na kapag gumagamit kayo ng audio-visual aids, huwag niyong gagawin na lahat nandun na. Yung tipong kahit mawala na kayo sa harap ng mga tagapakinig, okay lang. Bakit? Kasi lahat ng information nandun niya sa audio-visual aids ninyo. Bakit? Kasi sa ganung paraan, mapuputol yung connection nyo sa inyong tagapakinig at sa inyo bilang speaker kasi doon na sila magfo-focus. So, use them sparingly. Salit-salit lang. Papakita nyo yun, pero dapat sa inyo pa rin sila mas makikinig. They should enhance or clarify your content. Tandaan nyo, kapag kayo magsasalita in front of the public when you are going to use PowerPoint presentation, let us say on a seminar na kayo ang speaker, kailangan yung audiovisual materials na yon ay magagamit lang to enhance and clarify your content. Hindi para agawan kayo ng role as the speaker or just to capture and maintain your audience's attention. So take note of that. That's our last tip, to use audiovisual aids wisely. Those are our 10 tips. Balikan lang natin muli isa-isa, the 10 tips on how you can become a better and more confident public speaker. Again, the tip number 1 is nervousness is normal. What you have to do is to practice and prepare. Tip number 2 is know your audience. Your speech is about them and not about you. Tip number 3 is organize your materials in the most effective manner to attain your purpose. Tip number 4 is watch for feedback and adapt to it. Tip number 5 is let your personality come through. Our tip number 6 is to use humor, tell stories, and use effective language. Tip number 7 is don't read unless you have to. Work from an outline. Our tip number 8 is use your voice and hands effectively. Omit nervous gestures. Tip number 9 is grab attention at the beginning and close with a dynamic end. And for our tip number 10, use audiovisual aids wisely. Always remember, my dear learners, practice does not make perfect because nobody is perfect. But practice, constant practice, will make things more permanent. In everything we do, be it on public speaking, be it on writing, or be it on different hobbies that we are interested in. Good communication is never perfect, my dear learners, and nobody expects you to be perfect because nobody is perfect. However, putting in the requisite time to prepare will help you deliver a better speech. You may not be able to shake your nerves entirely, but you can learn to minimize them. So, once again, those are our 10 tips on how you can become a better and effective public speaker. By the way, I would like to acknowledge my resource or my source. This was from the blog of Harvard University. Doon ko po nakuha itong mga tips na binigay ko sa inyo, and most of this ay talaga namang batay rin sa aking sariling karanasan. Hangad ko na marami kayong natutunan, and if you really do learn a lot, I'm requesting you to like this video and also to share this to your friends para mas marami pa pong matuto. At kung hindi pa nga kayo bahagi ng ating YouTube online community of learners, I am requesting you and I am inviting you to become a part of it. What you have to do is just as simple as this, to click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you will always be updated every time I have new videos or upcoming live videos. And also, I'm inviting you to subscribe to my second channel in which I do vlogs together with my family. It is Aubrey and Family Lifestyle TV. Sabi ni Ralph Waldo Emerson, he is a writer. He is a famous literature writer. Sabi niya, all great speakers were bad speakers at first. Ulitin ko ha, all great speakers were bad speakers at first. Sabi niya, lahat daw ng mga mahuhusay na tagapagsalita ay nagsimula rin naman na hindi mahuhusay. Ano lamang ang kahulugan yan? Na kapag kayo ay gusto niyo talagang maging effective public speaker, tandaan ninyo, walang ipinanganak na mahusay na agad magsalita. Lahat ng yan ay pinagsanayan, pinaghirapan, at pinagsikapang magawa at makamit. Kaya ano lang kailangan? Gawin lang ang patuloy na paghahanda, pagpapractice, at sundin yung 10 tips na ibinigay ko kung nais niyo talagang maging effective public speaker. Again, from Ralph Waldo Emerson, all the great speakers were bad speakers at first. Walang ipinanganak na mahusay, lahat tayo ay nagsimula na wala lang din alam. Walang alam, hindi marunong, hindi mahusay. Kaya po, tandaan na ano man ang inyong mga edad, ano man ang inyong estado sa buhay o narating sa buhay, basta meron kayong gustong matutunan, tandaan na wala pong imposible, ano lang kailangan gawin. Lagi lamang pong pagsisikapan at pagsasanayan. And thank you so much for making this evening very fruitful and worthwhile together with you, my dear learners. Maraming salamat po, and God bless you all. Bye for now!